Okay, Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Our homage to the Buddha, and also our respect to our today's speaker, our Venerable Bhante Sumana. And also all of you, I would like to welcome our participants who joined us through online from various parts of the world. So it's nice that we all are here today, and this is our monthly talk, or we can say it's a Dharma study class that in addition to other Zoom talks, that in between that every month the third Sunday, and that we have been with the kindness of Bhante, that we are having this Dhamma study class. So it's a good opportunity to learn new things, as well as if any questions and any understanding to share or views. It's a very good opportunity for all of us. So in this sense that we always appreciate and show our gratitude to Bhante Sumana, who is our president of the society as well. So that today, as we last month we finished Sigalovada Sutta, that which we had like 6-7 sessions, that in depth that Bhante was kind to go through various aspects of our duties and responsibilities in our later life, as we all are busy in our lay life. But it's quite important that how to maintain and have a good, successful, peaceful life. So now, today, after discussion with Bhante that came with this topic, Sammaditthi Sutta. This is a discourse that which was given and which we can find in the Tipitaka, which in depth that we will discuss about Sammaditthi, right view, Sammadrishti, that which is opposite of Mithya Dishti, the wrong view. So Sammaditthi, by itself, we know that to have a right view, which is very important. Like an eye, that if we see right things, which is physically, then this Sammaditthi is a spiritual aspect. So this will also go for, I think Bhante was saying about 9-10 session. So it's a quite in-depth, although, Sammaditthi is a right view within few words or sentences that we can explain. But if we go in depth, that it has a very detailed discourse, this Sammaditthi Sutta. So it's a very good opportunity for all of us, rather than just knowing what is Sammaditthi superficially, to have an in-depth study, which Bhante will be conducting. So once again, we are, on behalf of all of us, we are very in-depth and thankful to Bhante. So without taking too much time, that I would like to kindly invite Bhante to start with, to administrate on 5 precepts, and then we move on to our talk. Before that, I would like to put everybody, wait, what is it? Just a minute. Sorry. I'll be just putting you all in a silent, okay? So I have to mute your mic first, so that there is no unnecessary noises. But Bhante, I will, just a second. It's just to prevent all unnecessary noises we are hearing from background. So Bhante can unmute himself. I have made him a co-host, and then rest will be muted till we come to the discussion. Okay, now to administrate 5 precepts, we all say Namo Tassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa.
Buddhang saranang gacchami.
Ang saranang gacchami.
Dhammang saranang gacchami.
Dhammang saranang gacchami.
Sanghang saranang gacchami.
Sanghang saranang gacchami.
Tutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Tutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Tutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Tutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Tutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Tutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Panatipata viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Anatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Adinadana viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Adinadana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Amesu miccācara viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Amesu miccācara veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Musavada viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Musavada veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Duramire majjapama dattana viramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Ramere majjapama dattana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Isaranena saddhing panchasilang dhammang sadhukang surakitang katva appamadena sampade tabang.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Okay, so I can see Bhante Sujan is also present from Aberdeen, Abbot of Varapuna Meditation Center. Dear friends, executive members of the Lumbini Nepal Dharma Society. So thank you for again initiating this program. Just to give you a, I'll try to share my PowerPoint. Is that okay?
Yes, Bhante.
Okay. So I think I should put here maybe explained by. Okay, so it's not mine. It is. It's not mine. It's
Presented by.
Presented. Okay, so I don't want you to get wrong information. Okay, or explained. Okay, there you go. All right. Now the reason for this is obviously we are trying to learn the Dharma in depth, and that is the purpose of this initiative program. We started off with going textually in the first sermon, so from the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. And as we gradually came to the fourth Noble Truth, we decided that we will take the approach of Sila Samadhi Panya to try to understand that. And somehow we also then went deeper into Sigalvada Sutta with the popular request, and we analyzed the Sutta for a while. And so going back to the Eightfold Path, since it was part of the Eightfold Path discussion that we tried to divert. Now we're coming back to the Eightfold Path and trying to now going into the Ditti, which is the right view. Now, this sutta will take us to another deeper level of understanding right view. However, we will perhaps towards the end, we will then come back to other areas, or you will realize that the other areas will also be gradually or partially covered. So if necessary, we can go to like Satipatthana or Sabbasava Sutta to make it relevant towards the end when you go into Bhavana aspect. So this is the sutta on Ditti. So Ditti means views or the outlook or understanding. Samma means correct or right in this translation. So I would like to perhaps when I come across the textual, the Pali in the Romanized form, I will maybe use that in future. But today I haven't been able to do some research to find the Pali version of it, but I have it in the Sri Lankan script, but not in the Romanized or Devanagari script, which we all will be able to access. So it'll be nice to actually refer to certain words when we analyze. And so today what I've done is I've just actually helped to us to understand the basics to start off with. And to give another background, obviously, if you want to, which I'm referring to quite often, is the translation from the Sri Lankan Buddha Jayanti publication. So during the Buddha Jayanti, which is 2,600 years or 2,500 years, they have published certain translation version, but you will not be able to access it. But the other English translation I'm actually referring to get a clearer and more wiser understanding is Ajahn Sujato or Bhikkhu Sujato, and the translation by Venerable Jnanamoli, which is further updated and published by Bhikkhu Bodhi, the Majjhima Nikaya series or the Majjhima Nikaya text. So if you type in Google, you'll be able to view that PDF versions as well, or just web view. So so bear that in mind. So I don't want to own, but I'd like to analyze deeper into to help us understand. And if you have any questions, you can raise. So this sutta is not uttered by the Buddha. So it is not the Buddha's version, but it is the version of, it is found in it's found in the Majjhima Nikaya, the middle length saying. So as you know, Tripitaka is divided into Sutta, Vinaya, Abhidhamma. And in the Sutta Pitaka, there are 5 Nikayas. And according to the length of the discourse, they have been categorized. And in the middle versions, or the average middle length discourses, is in what you call the Majjhima Nikaya. And in the Majjhima Nikaya, there are 152 suttas, and this is the 9th one. So out of the 152 suttas, the 9th one. And this particular sutta was, to give another background, as I said, it's not the Buddha's. So when the monks were gathering, the Venerable Sariputta. So Sariputta is the chief disciple of the Buddha, and also very knowledgeable in the Dhamma. And there are lots of times when the Buddha would actually hand over to some monks, and one of them is Venerable Sariputta to analyze and explain in depth certain aspects of the Dhamma. So in this case, the monks were getting together, and they were talking about what is this thing called right view? Okay, what is this thing called right view? And the question that arose was, how do you define a noble disciple? So in the text, the word is used Arya Savaka, Arya Shravaka, Arya Savaka. So if you can notice, Arya or noble, so Arya Ashtangika Marga. So the word Arya is something which is not perhaps practiced by the many, if you want to put in that way, or it's the noble people that practice, someone who actually would like to achieve or to actually to follow the good path. Okay, so noble disciple, so Arya Savaka. So how do you define a noble disciple? So the practitioner of the Dhamma who has right view. So which might mean some people, although they practice, they might not have right view. So whose view is correct? Some people view might be bits and pieces here, bits and pieces there. And it's better than nothing, but it's better to have a correct view. Riju, we say Riju in Sanskrit, or Uju in Pali. Ujugata means someone who has actually, when you know the path, you don't wobble, you don't actually sway. So if you don't know, you sway here and there. Okay, you sway here and there. So someone who can actually truly understand will have a correct, straight path. So Uju means correct, straight. If it is not Uju, it's either wobbly or it is swaying here and there. Who has experiential confidence. So once you know something correctly, you have what we call some form of prasada. Prasada is in Pali, so I couldn't do the diacritics. So you have a very good sort of understanding that you actually develop confidence. Like most of you are some professionals. Because of your professional expertise, you are confident in doing something. Similarly, even in the Dhamma, when you know your maybe theory or when you know it practically, you develop confidence gradually. So that's called experiential confidence. So you know all our practitioners, and if you're a practitioner, you use your knowledge to actually practice something. And what you do, you don't actually sway. So the best I can take is if you know how to drive, you won't actually you are confidently driving as well. And when that sort of experience is there, one comes to the true truth of the teaching, the true Dharma. Okay, so to take it further, so just to give you the overall view, what will be covered in the next few days. So today we'll cover the wholesome and unwholesome. Then we have nutriments, Four Noble Truth, aging and death, birth, clinging, craving, contact, sixfold basis, consciousness, formation, ignorance, and taints. So when we come to the taints, then it might be wise for us to go to the second sutta in that particular middle length sayings called Sabbasa Sutta. So taints means ashravas. So these are the few areas which I like to cover in future. And then today we'll just look at what the wholesome and unwholesome, how understanding that itself is someone in the correct path. So as you can see, so in what way this question was raised? He is one of right view, whose view is straight, who has perfect confidence in the Dhamma and has arrived at this true Dhamma. Before we go further, there are two words used in this. One is called janati, which means knowing. The second word is pajanati. So per prefix is used for like clear, like clearly, better, or truly. Janati is just to know. Pajanati means to know everything or every aspect wholesomely. So everywhere, mostly in this sutta, the word is pajanati being used rather than janati. Janati in Pali means just to know. Okay, so you might know that flour, whatever you need, essential ingredients needed to bake a cake, but the pajanati might be everything in terms of the expertise from temperature to the essentials, or even the amount, for example. So, but in this case, the Dhamma is actually know truly, to know in and out, and to actually help us understand the truth will be called pajanati. So a noble disciple understands the wholesome. So what is wholesome will truly understand what is the root of the unwholesome. And if I talk to you about the word kusala and akusala, this is what is root. And this is how, so even by knowing what is wrong, someone can slowly arrive to the correct path. Even by knowing what is right and the roots of both right and wrong, one could come to the correct path of the practice of the Dhamma. So what is unwholesome in this context? So as you know, we talk about 10 unwholesome factors, or 10 unwholesome and then 10 wholesome actions. Or so this is, if you look at this, you'll realize a bit of familiarity. Okay, so the first 3 is done with physical body, anything that is wrong to do. And again, going to the norm of the society, going to the practice. Now, this has got nothing to do with perhaps a religion, but it has got something to do with maybe just being a good person, as we can all truly understand. So in the 5 precepts, the first 3 is as it is. So now we have to look at, it says killing living beings, or taking the life, taking what is not given, misconduct in sensual pleasures. So abuse, or what we might use in today's word. The other 4 are to do with the speech, the mouth, or the words. False speech, malicious, so you actually angrily talk bad about someone, or with the intention of wrong, maybe to break the goodness of, or to eradicate the goodness of the person. You talk something wrong about the person behind his back or her back. Harsh speech, as we all know, is something that is again spoken normally with anger. Okay, and gossip is also wrong. Gossip is always fruitless. So if you engage in gossip, which sometimes unconsciously we might, then that is also seen as unwholesome. Now, so the first 3 are to do with the body, the second 4 are to do with the words, and then the last 3 is to do with the mind, or something that is wrongly done. So I have put in, for example, I'll just take this one out so that it is not okay. So if you can actually see, covetousness is something that you actually crave for some, so you're really craving for, whether it is about properties or about things. So something, there is a bit of a abhijja. Vyapada is anger, which is sort of developed further into a real serious mode. Ill will, and obviously there are so many synonyms with this. So if you want a more lesser term, covetousness would be like greed gone to a very different level. Ill will be like anger gone to a different level, and wrong view is, again, which is, but this is what we're trying to perhaps get rid of. So the misunderstanding, or even in deeper terms, deluded by ignorance. So ignorance is one aspect that we'll discuss, so we can then cut down that a little bit later for later. So if the noble disciple or Arya Savaka understands that the reason for these are this completely. So underlying tendency. So tendency here is to understand that, or you can call this roots. So if the root is wrong, the product is wrong. If in any of these actions or any of these activities, by word, by body, and by mind, if the root is greed, then perhaps you can link all of this to that. It's not just about taking what is not given out of greed, but you might sometimes resort to killing out of greed. You might resort to obvious essential pleasures out of greed. And greed might make you want to say wrong things, false. Greed might want to, again, make you talk negatively. And so you can link these roots to all of this. And the reason why it is we might want to use the word tendency is that sometimes we are quite unconscious, and by habitual pattern we always sometimes might link to these, and unconsciously they make us do the wrong actions. So now, what is the wholesome then? So wholesome is simply abstaining from them, abstaining from these. And when you abstain from these, you are already perhaps, it's another way of trying to realize that you are quite in the right track. You know, if you realize that you are able to, now, if you break these, you know, or if you actually engage in this, you are in the unwholesome mode. If you abstain from these, you are in the wholesome mode. You know? And wholesome mode is obviously you realize, and now you don't actually do these things. Now, I think I remember previously referring to maybe an animal that actually is tied to maybe a pole, and just because it is tied, it won't, or because it is an animal that doesn't eat animals, let's put it that way, or it's a, I don't want to use the word vegetarian animal. If an animal that is not a carnivorous animal, will never kill beings, will never take what is not given, because it'll just eat what food or what grass is put in front of it. It'll never engage in sensual misconduct. It'll never talk something rubbish. So now you can't say that they are doing wholesome things. Now, it is not their nature of doing those things, committing those things. It's not their nature to actually kill and prey on animals. So we can't say that they are in the right path. Now, they have not actually done this out of awareness, or they have not actually engaged in such misconduct or in unwholesome activities out of awareness. It is just their nature. But when you come to a stage of the need or the thought that you want to do this, maybe harm someone, maybe take or even engage in something that is not yours, like taking wise, or even touching items, or maybe even engaging in sensual misconduct, the honesty, and can you abstain from it? The word veramani is used in the Pali Sutta as well. If someone abstains from these, even when we observe 5 precepts, we say panatipata veramani. So we actually be mindful to withdraw ourselves from it. And the tendency makes us do it by habit, but because the tendency is not easy to get rid of quickly. The habitual thinking, unless you are not trained, so it is again based on the trained and the untrained mind. So untrained mind, habitual pattern is you actually feed this greed, hate, and ignorance. Whereas a trained person or person who has thought about it will straight away learn how to abstain from engaging in these 10 unwholesome deeds or unwholesome actions. Although the last 3 is to do with the mind, it is about, it is seen as actions or deeds in the word Pali. So they are called akusala kamma or kusala kamma. So that's why we use the word actions for that point of view. Okay, so if you look at this, okay, perhaps then it makes understand, and we can then we can take it for discussion after that. So when a noble disciple has thus understood the unwholesome and the root of unwholesome, the wholesome and the root of wholesome, he entirely abandons the underlying tendency. So can you see it's very quite interesting to see the entirely abandons or get rid of the underlying tendency to lust, underlying tendency to view and conceit I am. So now this opens us or links us to 3 things. Okay, so I'm going to actually take it. So here the word lust is about, as we know, kama tanha. Okay, kama tanha is so anything that pleases you. or in terms of this law, that is lust will be about some raga, something that actually you are passionate about, and something that you actually would actually sometimes you can't you lose your sleep on those things. Something that even when you want to buy something, sometimes we lose our sleep a little bit. So a person who is in the right track will understand that that is something that you have to abandon. And again, the tendency to view and conceit. Okay, so to view here is in the Pali, the word is so it's called ditti. Okay, so here the word ditti, this also comes in the Abhidhamma, tanha ditti mana. So ditti here is the view. Now, what is the tendency of the view? If you want to, let's have a look in one of these, for example. The tendency to, if you link the tendencies to these, I used tanha earlier because you are you crave for something, you might engage in this. Ditti would be that I should have everything, or I need everything, or things have to be in in the way I want, and those are particular views. So if you cannot let go of those views, you are always in the wrong track. So sometimes we have certain ideals, certain ideas as well, not just ideals, and we learn we sometimes can't think of letting go of that ideals, those views. Now, these views can be conditioned by any means, as we all know. We've heard plenty of these. But what happens is, when you look at the word tendency to those views, it means that you have your by nature or by habit, you actually start linking your certain experiences straight away to ditti. Now, I can say that I will think of a label of something. Maybe I'm a Nepalese, or I'm British, or I'm living in Europe, and then we can start demanding certain things. It has to be like this, no, otherwise this is not what it is. And we all start to actually approach certain things with those views in our mind. But a person who is practicing the Dhamma will always remove these labels, will remove these conditioned views, whether it is social, political, religious, or any form of views. They will be able to really free themselves from. And then thirdly, it is about conceit. Conceit is again linking to what we call mana. In Pali, mana. So sometimes this mana is it blindfolds you, or sometimes it actually doesn't make you see things in the real context. So when a person who actually can free themselves from all the wrong deeds, then there is no need for someone to actually even look through the lens of mana, comparing yourself, either it is in a superior context, or I am this, or I am not this, I am if I start thinking, oh, I am the abbot, or I am the head, or I am this, I am the husband, wife, father, the mother, child. All this type of usage might make us condition our thinking. Obviously, we have to use this in general discussion or general talk, but when that comes into a certain emphasizing of something, or when you want to make a point and you bring in those labels and cards, these are like labels, these are like cards that you use to make your point. And that is what actually a true person will be getting rid of straight away. And if that person who has abandoned these Okay, abandon this type of ignorance, and will then make an end, will make actually the end of suffering, or will achieve end of suffering then and there. And that is quite important to understand, because the Pali word is dukkha santarang karti. So straight away there is no dukkha. The more you actually engage in something to do with your desires, the more you start using labels, the more you start using your cards to play your encounters, then you will not end suffering, but you will end suffering when you are able to free yourself from these. So therefore, that's why it is said at the very beginning here, a person who actually can start thinking like this, you have come to the true teaching of the Dhamma, and that is what we call Saddhamma. So you are on the right track, or that is one way of slowly getting into right view. So with that short analysis, I think I will finish off this. But there's lots to go, and I can't finish nutriments in about a couple of minutes. So I can leave it open for discussion.
Thank you, Bhante. Are you keeping that slide shared?
I can just take anything off. Sorry, I need to stop the slide. So sorry. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Bhante. That was at the beginning of our today, as we said, that the Sammaditthi Sutta, which is quite interesting. Yes. Yeah, as you know, Bhante went through it, and also that what in future Bhante is going to talk about this sutta, that we can see that how in detail that this sutra is going to be presented, and that we can learn in many ways, that which can be quite helpful, and I'm sure it will be nourishing to our spiritual, our logical, or whatever way we see things. And of course, now it is time for question and answer. If you have any thought, any ideas to put into, share that, please go into reaction button and raise your hand. So this Sammaditthi, right view that Buddha said, we should, it's a practice, and also what I just got from a hint from what Bhante said is, that we shouldn't fall, if I say, in a wrong trap, saying that, oh, I'm a good Buddhist and I don't kill, I don't steal, I don't do wrong thing, I'm spending wholesome life, that this is I do meditation, I go to Vihara. So indirectly, we can get an idea that I'm a good person, which we are. Of course, we are a good person. But meanwhile, at the same time, we also have to think that analyze, this example which Bhante gave, that if, say a goat or cow that who don't kill or eat meat, think that I'm wholesome, I don't kill, so I preserve or I protect Panatipata because I don't kill. That's not a wholesome life. It's like we are saying, during COVID time, we stayed at home, so we don't have to interact or deal with people. So we can say, oh, I'm very, I don't do gossiping, I don't do backbiting, because there was no opportunity for that. So when the opportunity comes, when the situation arises, whether we can still maintain our anger, whether we can still avoid gossiping, backbiting, that is the time whether we have understood or grasped the knowledge. I think it's not avoid. It's like, if we are in a rural area or in jungle, we say, okay, I'm going to retreat for a week or month. And then, of course, because we don't interact, because we are in a rural area or in jungle, we can, because of no interaction with people, one can say, oh, I have, fulfilled silas, not killing, not backbiting, not gossiping. And what happens after the end of that retreat and come back to the normal society? Do we go back to gossiping and backbiting and all these things? That is where I think the situation lies. So the more we understanding, that's what Bhante said, that
It
knowing
is that tendency, isn't it?
the tendency,
That tendency is what you have to realize. Now, we can refer to suttas like Angulimal or something like that. It was not just about knowing that killing is wrong is not what we want. It is more than trying to be aware and mindful that on other times, how do you react? How do you actually engage in those things? So I think a very good example you gave was, just because you don't do it for a couple of days doesn't mean you are completely or out of it, because these tendencies, they are so deeply rooted. It arises, gets triggered at any moment. And what does it get triggered by? Tanha, Ditti, and Mana. It triggers straight away. And that is what we have to realize and be mindful that it should not be a point for you to engage in unwholesome acts. Sorry, Rasnaj had sorry, Amrija. I just thought I'd add something to it.
That's the point. Yeah, thank you, Bhante, for joining. Yes, I was just saying same thing what Bhante said. Okay, Dr. Rasnaji, your hand is up. Please put your...
Thank you very much, Bhante. It was very, it looks simple, but it's very intricate. All Eighth Noble Path is like that, isn't it? It looks, Sammaditthi, you need to have a right view. It's very easy to say right view, but then to practice and to do the right thing is always very difficult. As Amritji very kindly said that, we need to have a situation, when you're not in that situation, you say everybody is very good. If you ask anyone, nobody will say I'm bad. Everybody thinks that they are the best. They are going, like everywhere, whoever is going to Bihar or listening to Lord Buddha, we are doing the right thing. We always do the right thing. But when the situation comes, they get angry within a minute. They react immediately. That's where we need to go behind and look at ourselves. And I think this will come only after keep on doing meditation. That's where you really have to control your mind. Unless you can do that, even if you know what is right or what is wrong, it's always difficult to control yourself, I feel. And this is the hindrance, isn't it? Because we always think that we are good, we are listening to Buddha's teaching, we are doing this. But practically how much we have been able to control ourselves it is, I think I'll leave it to everybody to decide how they are. Even I will never say that, I always have. Sometimes it does come. And then I realize, oh my God, this, I shouldn't do it. And having said that, since doing, I think must say that meditation, those days we used to take 5 precepts, but 5 precepts, I never kill anything, but whenever you do hoover, you take all this corner and take the spiders away. Woof, inside. We never think that we are killing. So nowadays I don't do that. I think, oh my God, I should be doing that. Like whenever you want to go to toilet or bathroom, when you want to take a shower, there's a big spider in the shower. And those days, it goes in the shower, like it flushes. But nowadays you think twice, oh, there's a spider, let me take it out, away, before you do anything. These are things that slowly, it's not like rapidly, but slowly, I feel myself changing and then feeling that whenever you are talking about others also, oh my God, what I'm doing, I shouldn't be doing that. Mindful, slowly it's coming. I wouldn't say that it has come, because we all know that 5 precepts, everybody takes 5 precepts every time. But how much mindful you have been when you break the 5 precepts and prevent yourself again, I shouldn't be saying that kind of. I think that is very important. And this is what I think basic we have to practice. And, that's really very difficult. I really feel it's very difficult to do.
Yeah, it's a practice. Practice makes
Very
perfect.
difficult, but
Yeah,
practice we
makes
should learn. Even if
perfect.
it's very difficult, I think
And
we should just keep on trying and controlling ourselves rather than other people. We don't need to point out other people because we always have to think about ourselves first, what we have done, rather than saying to
yeah,
other people. That's what we need to learn. Both
yeah,
Dinesh and me, we are. If I do something wrong, he is the one critic that he points out immediately. So that is helping each other. If he does, I point. Like these are things we are making ourselves. To try and take the 5 precepts properly.
yeah. There's the constant awareness, mindfulness.
Yeah, that's
That's
very
what.
important.
That's why the mindfulness is
Mhm.
meditation. That's
Meditation is very important. I feel more and more doing
aware. Be
meditation.
aware.
It makes you really. It makes you think what you are and how you are. And, much more clearer, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a always growing process. We all are
Yeah,
learning,
it is a growing process.
and but yeah, main
At
thing
least
is
I'm glad that all of us are in the path of Dharma, that we are
yeah,
all thinking, towards to be a good person.
yeah,
That is the first step. I think it's the most important step is to come to the stream.
yeah, and also that wanting to be good, and
Mm.
that itself is a progress, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Because most of people they are not. They say no, no, no. I don't want that.
So many people, they don't even want to come and listen. At least we always listen and try to improve. That itself, I think we should say that we are walking towards Dhamma.
No, we all are good in our own ways. This is just how we can go further improving. That is
Definitely,
that's
yeah.
what. That's why it's like as in the Sutta, Bhante just said that knowing and being expert, knowing that to make a cake you need flour, egg, blah 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 is one thing, but to be expert how to make cake in every way is another thing. So now we are trying to be expert in Dhamma. That is where we are heading, rather than just knowing, because knowing itself doesn't mean anything till you put into practice and be expert in many ways that how things work. And then only we can implement, isn't it? Because you know how
in that
things
context,
work.
I admire Binodai always, because even late at night in Nepal, he always attends and listens to our Dhamma talks. Thank you very much, Binodai.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, Dr. Rajan Ji Vajracharya, please, you raise your hand, Dr. Ji.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
One day I have a question. So in what context did Venerable Sariputta utter this sutta? Is there any story behind it?
No, the context is very simple. I went to the Tata Sangayana to get the Pali version, so you can see if you want. But if I go to the translation, it's straight away starts like this. Shall I share something?
Yeah.
I'm going to the Vipassana Research website to get the Pali, so we can read together if you want. So sorry, okay, so this is in Pali. So if you can, sorry, yeah, Sammaditthi Sutta, can you see the 9th one? So it just says that, so Tatrako Aisma Sariputta Bhikkhu Amantesi. So when the monks were gathered at the Jetana Vihara, Sariputta addressed the Aisma, means younger monks. Bhikkhu means so Amantesi, he administered. Also Bhikkhave, dear friends or dear, younger. So then, and then straight away, Sammaditthi. So there is a context in that they've always, everyone says Sammaditthi, but what is Sammaditthi is what the monks asked.
Oh, okay.
And that's all. Like in Kalam Sutta, the people said, everyone comes here and tells, this is the truth, this is the truth, this is the truth. And then the Buddha then says, this is what it is, it's you decide what it is. So like that here, Sammaditthi, everyone says Sammaditthi, but what is Sammaditthi?
Oh, okay.
And then he says, and then so they come from far and they tell us this like that. So there's this sort of that sort of background, and then straight away he says, Arya Savako Akusalancha Bhajanati. So the Arya Savaka, or the noble disciple, will know. Bhajanati means truly understand the akusala, truly understand the akusala mula, and so that's how it is.
Oh, okay.
So that's the only thing I can actually share with you.
Okay. Thank you, Bhante.
Okay.
Yeah,
And this is a reminder. This is in the first section of the middle length saying. So there are 3 sections, and this is the 9th one. So it's quite early in the suttas as well.
yes, I think Bhante, before he started the talk, also is mentioned that it's Buddha, in Tipitaka, all the discourses are not always uttered by the Buddha, because
And there are about like around 2,000 that are of the Savaka Suttas. So like analyze. For example, Satchivimanga Sutta is also Venerable Sariputta explaining the Four Noble Truths, isn't it, Ambedkar?
yeah. So yeah, Buddha, whenever Buddha felt like tired, or that he said, okay, Sariputta, you take in charge of the talk, So he used to just hand over, because after certain years that Buddha had expertise in, like Mahamodgalyana, Sariputta, Ananda Bhante, various Arhat monks, so that Buddha is like in a vihara that when head monk is tired, that he say, okay, today class you take, so that Buddha knew that in this case Sariputta Bhante was expert, and he knew what Buddha would have taught. That he said, okay, today you take this Dhamma discussion class, and that is how it went by. So you will find many other sutras as well, which are not uttered by the Buddha, but after learning from the Buddha and listening, and they knew what Buddha would have taught, and then they, they taught it. So it's like a, coming from the mouth of the Buddha, but, not second hand, through his disciple. Dr. Dharmasakhijo, your hand is up.
Bhante, yeah, Bhante, I'm a little bit confused, Bhante. Not only a little bit, completely confused.
Oh, dear.
Maybe I'm following the wrong path. I used to think Sammaditthi is part of the Four Noble Truths. Now, from listening to you, it is not a part of the Four Noble Truths. And also, I used to think when Buddha gave the first sermon in Sarnath, Dharma Chakra Parivartana Sutta, he gave discourse on Four Noble Truths. Sammaditthi was one of it.
Eightfold Path, Damdai.
Sammaditthi would be like having the true knowledge of Eightfold Path. And even in this sutta, in the middle, there is Four Noble Truths.
Yeah, that's right. So the Sammaditthi is not a part of the Four Noble Truths. The talk he gave.
Noble Truths.
Eightfold Path.
Eightfold Path.
Four Noble Truths. Eightfold Path is a part of the Four Noble Truths.
Yes, it is.
It is. But obviously there are so many areas that like, just because karma is dealt in one place doesn't mean there's no other ways karma is not explained.
Yeah.
Similarly, this is how Venerable Sariputta wanted to explain what Sammaditthi is. And there are many areas. Now, the next one, if you can, I think it is sometimes there is what we call ahara, and then how basically someone who comes to the practice of the Dhamma properly is what this is all spoken about. Can I just put the summary up again? Just 1 second, okay? So the second section, so tomorrow, hopefully next session, we'll talk about nutriments, ahara, then the Four Noble Truths. Then there is a section about aging and death. So there are certain times, however we try to understand those things, at that moment you become the way the noble disciple, the Arya Shravaka, sees it. And these are the areas so Venerable Sariputta explains Sammaditthi. So in this case, it's like who has a clear understanding of certain things. And that is where we're talking about. So if you have time, maybe if you can read even Ajahn Bhikkhu Sujato's translation. It's in the sutta.net, I think, as well. And yes, Sammaditthi is in the Eightfold Path, but there are lots of areas where Sammaditthi is explained. Now, obviously, the Buddha doesn't explain fully what Sammaditthi is in the Eightfold First Noble Truth. He'll just say, this is the Eightfold Path, and then he tells about what the 8 elements are, but doesn't go in detail. And then in the other suttas, other areas, he has gone into details, as well as other savakas gone into details. And this is one of the suttas which will help us slowly understand when someone understands true, let's say, well, Pali Buddhism, or you want to call it true Buddhism, or right understanding or right view. And this is one of the many. So even in this sutta itself, at the end of that section, I don't know, do you want to see, Bhikkhu Bodhi's or Ajahn Sujata's translation? Bhikkhu Bodhi's, okay. Let me try to get that.
No, Bhante, I'll try it.
No. What I meant is I'll try to show you the area. It might. So if you. So this is his translation, obviously. Now, how someone arrives, there you go, slowly. Sorry if you can see. Okay.
This is Bhikkhu Bodhi's, is it?
Bhikkhu Bodhi is a developed translation by Jnanamoli. So, so if you can see the last, how he finishes this section, okay, this on the akusala and kusala, wholesome and unwholesome. And what is the root of the unwholesome? Non-greed is the root of the wholesome. Non-hate is the root of wholesome. Non-delusion is the root of wholesome. This is called the root of unwholesome. When a noble disciple has thus understood the unwholesome and the root of the unwholesome, the wholesome and the root of the wholesome, he entirely abandons the underlying tendency to lust, abolishes the underlying tendency to aversion, and then he extirpates the underlying tendency to view and conceit, I am. So wherever there is, we get rid of the craving, when someone gets rid of the the labels, as I said earlier, or even the cards that you play with to actually justify yourself. I am, either superior, inferior, so and so, and abandoning ignorance, which we haven't dealt with, as I said earlier, I'll do later on, arouses true knowledge here and now. So right here, right now, not next life. Arouses true knowledge here and now, makes an end of suffering. In this way, too, can you see? This is just one of the ways. A noble disciple is one of the right view, whose view is straight, who has perfect confidence in Dhamma and has arrived at this true Dhamma, and that is one of the many ways of getting to that point. So I don't know whether Dr.
I was just wondering, the first sermon Buddha gave, Dharma Chakra Parivartana Sutta, will it be possible to spend, say, not today, some other time?
I think we started the series with this, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, but Buddha gave only one talk, only one talk, but we sent a whole lot of them.
Oh no, Tripitaka, there's so many suttas.
That is what I want you to say.
Sorry, Doctor, we didn't finish your. What was your request, Doctor?
No. I was just thinking, when Buddha gave the first sermon to those 5 ascetics at Sarnath, what did he actually say? I have never read it. Will it be possible just to... Much better if Bhante explains it.
But this is very long.
No, that is...
quite some time ago.
No, we'll work on that. Maybe before I go into the section of Four Noble Truth, we'll compare the two.
Yeah, that would be better.
Now, in the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, Dr. Rajan, can I just take 2 more minutes? Yeah. So in the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, the Buddha straight away, now as you know, he after 8 weeks, he straight away went to the 5 ascetics. Now that was like a thesis or something. He straight away told, he didn't talk about, what is this? What he said, monks who are already practicing, they were renouncing already. They were renunciates already. That's why he uses the word pabbajita. He doesn't use the word or people or savaka. He can't say savaka because they weren't his followers yet. So he just said pabbajita means all the people who have renounced. So dveme, he starts off the sermon by saying dveme bhikkhave. There are just 2 extremes you have to avoid. And then at that time, he was trying to actually mean on the existential views and the Uchedavada, so Sasatavada and Uchedavada. And then he talks about what the middle way is. He didn't even say the Four Noble Truth. He said, this is the middle way. And in the middle way, he says, Sammaditthi, Samma Sankappa. Then he goes to say, what is the Four Noble Truth? So first two extremes, then middle way, which is the Eightfold Path, then the Four Noble Truth. And the reason for the Four Noble Truth is to how to end suffering. And which is also here, he says in the Sariputta, Sariputta explains or analyzes or further discussing that if someone at least tries to abandon those four things.
I have also seen Bhante, Thaniswar Bhante also explain Sammaditthi again in English, just like
it's the same sutta, because these are the suttas that are translated by venerables.
It is with the nutrients, aging and death.
This is what we are going. This is what we are going. Step by step. So today is just about wholesome, unwholesome, and then roots to those things, and perhaps how someone needs to act at that point. Four things, isn't it? No passion. Make sure you don't actually bring your labels. Make sure you actually don't talk your cards or think in cards ways. I am this, I want this, and then like when you say playing cards means you pull out certain things to justify certain things, and then obviously ignorance. Sorry, Dr. Rajan.
So
I think
can
I say something?
Yes.
I think Dr. Saki also saying one thing, same thing as Bhante is trying to explain. What is confusing here, Dharma Sakya understood the Sammaditthi from the Eightfold Noble Path that comes in the Four Noble Truth. Now here from the Sammaditthi Sutta, it will come. Bhante Sumana Bhante is explaining first factor of the whole series of 16 concept of Sammaditthi, which one of the Sammaditthi is a Satya, which is coming soon. See here on the third one. So in that section, then Dharmasakya will understand, and that will be linking to the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutra. Okay, so it's not just the one Sammaditthi that normally people understand that from the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutra, but Sariputra is giving from whole basic misunderstanding of that general people, which is known as the people those who do not have right understanding according to Buddhism, have those misunderstanding. So Venerable Sariputta is trying to explain in a right way. As Bhante said, following talks, he will be focusing on those later on. Right? So that will help you to clarify. There is no confusion between Dhammacakkappavattana Sutra and this sutra. Okay, thank you.
It's the same at the end.
Thank you, Bhante.
Okay.
Thank you, Bhante.
Dandana ji, on messenger,
Okay, Dr. Rajan.
Dr. Rajan.
Your hand is up.
Yeah. Bhante, I just want to ask you about this conceit I am. Is it equivalent to ego?
Not the Freudian style.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but yeah, you can use the word ego to get the basic understanding. But there are the commentaries have developed that into 3 and then sometimes multiplied. So Sayamana, Hinamana, so this one. You say man, basically man, or the normal understanding of ego is fine, but not the Freudian style of ego, superego style. But yeah, the normal understanding of ego, I am. No, I am bigger, or I am greater, or I am qualified, or I am, I am rich, I am, I am this, I am that.
No,
Sakai Ditti dai wo mo ko tochen mana. I'm equal or I am below. I come on, I'm not that educated. I'm not that, and even that is mana. So use inferior as well.
Inferior and superior complex. Both
superior
are
complex
Complex.
equal, and then inferior complex. And that form is what actually, if you stop thinking like that, you are in the right track, or Sammaditthi, or right path. You are the noble disciple, Arya Savaka. Even if you get rid of, like raga or tanha, passion at the given moment, you are trying to come to the right track. Even if you stop, ditthis, all your held person, all these views, and at that point you might slowly bring in the Sakai Ditthi. Now, Sakai Ditthi is, which will be discussed again later on in this. It is the first of the 10 fetters. Mana is in the last 5, which even until the enlightenment moment, until the last minute also will be there. Whereas to be in the Srotapanna, the first taste of enlightenment, or you have to get rid of this. So what happens? What you can slowly see that Sariputra, Venerable Sariputra is saying that this will help you to stop your doubts on which path you are, because that doubt is also a problem. So that's why Ujugatasa. Once you understand this, you are in the clear path of the Dhamma, and that is why he uses the word. As I said earlier, if I can show to you, he uses these words. It's in there. So, Arya Savaka, Ujugatasa, and then you develop confidence, pasada, and then you have come to the true teaching of Saddhamma. So that is so.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you, Bhante. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Any other questions or any things to share? Okay. Yes. So that is a good start, and also it's good that to overcome that confusion which Dr. Dharmasakya had, that is good start, so that we can do further studies in our coming months. Yeah, right view. So right view, as we understood, to have a right view to, yes. So, and if there's no questions, so are we going to end today's session then? Okay. So thank you.
Can I ask one last question before I take leave as well? How comfortable do you feel me referring to the Pali original script?
Yes, that's good, Bhante. Because
so can I use the extracts wherever I think I can talk? I'll use the extracts to explain the key point rather than actually just resorting to translations and stuff like that. Is that good?
But when you say Pali, it relates to the Buddha's time.
Buddhist,
so
Buddha's
nice.
words, and perhaps in the original Tripitaka words.
Yes,
okay. we can start using Pali words, because we have to get used to these words as well, because who are not used to, and obviously there will be explanation anyway, so that we are not just given Pali word.
It will be good. It will be good. Yeah.
Yeah. So
in a way, so once you get used to it, then when you say Ditti, you know where it is and what it is. When you say Raga, you know what it is, because the meanings of Tanha, Raga, they're all quite similar, but the way the Buddha has used in what context might make us understand, help things better.
Yes.
Because we just use the word greed, or we just use the word dvesha, but there's so many words for anger, so many words for Tanha as well being used, and so we might then have a clearer understanding, and I think and slowly we can get quicker in this as well.
Yes. And if there is any
so you don't mind me referring to Pali? Yeah.
No, we like it. Yeah.
That would be even in depth, and also learning Pali words gradually, one by one. As Bhante said, that greed, which is English, has only one word. That in Pali there are many many levels of these words. So anyway, so we will conclude today's talk. So to start with, I would like to, first of all, on behalf of the society, thanks our Bhante Sumana, who has been kind to start this Dhamma talk, and that and also at the same time, thanks our Gratitude to Bhante Sumana, also that who is always with us, sharing his understanding and knowledge of the Dharma, which is quite helpful. And also all of you, who joined us and put your ideas, sharing. Sometime, there might be, for other person might be very silly question or silly suggestion or ideas, but these are enhancing, and improving our knowledge. So which always makes us think that, it can be a learning process, and also it can be reminding that which we know is, with further explanation. So it's learning and listening again and again and again until we grasp it into the root. So which is quite helpful. So thanks for all of you in this special day, Father's Day, joining us. While you are eager to go and join your family members and friends to celebrate. So thank you all, and at the same time, let us also think our relatives, our friends, families, and departed ones at this time, and share our good thoughts of goodwill, that which we learned today. May this prevail to all of us, bringing health, happiness, peace, and success in our life. With these kind thoughts, we pass our pure thoughts to our departed relatives as well. And may enjoy your life and be happy all the time. Thank you very much.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.